Okay, this is a method I came up with for cutting an angled tenon, and I want to show you why I ended up doing that. My tabletop here, which has got two holes in it for drink cup holders, is 12 inches across the front, 14 inches across the back, and 17.5 inches long. And then these two holes hold these stainless steel drink cup holders. So what I wanted to do was build these legs and have the angled tenons match the angle of the tabletop, and then meet square with the next leg that was going to be here. So I cut these on the table saw with my blade tilted at about 4 degrees or 3.5 degrees, something like that. And I don't know if you can, let's see if we can see this. But you can see that I'm open here. I'm open here. I'm tight here. But I'm open on the top as well. So I could take the time and sweeten this joint up and get everything the way I want it, but the problem is the only good joint is on the inside. So getting this, get this out of here. Getting this face, the shoulder cut all in plane was my problem. So you can see my tenons at that angle, but it's still been kind of a pain in the rear end to get that to fit just right. So what I did was I came up with this method to cut them on my router table, and you can see now that these shoulders are perfectly in plane because I'm cutting them. That's the way they're getting cut. I mean, the bit is cutting it this way, so it's staying perfectly in plane. So then when I put it in my mortise, now I'm tight. I'm tight. And I guess I got to push that down there. Now I'm tight. I've got good contact all the way around, and it's what I want, with a lot less effort than what I was doing before. So let me show you my setup here, and I think what it does is it kind of opens up some new possibilities, at least for me, on doing some angle joinery instead of always making stuff square. So let me show you that setup. Well, one quick thing before I show you the setup, and this is why it doesn't matter what this angle is. I don't care anymore, because this is an important part of the puzzle. So when I cut this angle on my table saw, it went from 14 to 12, and I ended up with these wedges, 4 wedges. And I'll show you why they're important. That's what I'm using to cut my angle, so I know it's going to be perfect. So we'll go over to and set that up now. Okay, so here's my setup. This board was my backer board for making 90-degree tenons at the table saw, or I could use them at the router table here as well. What I did was I took 2 of my wedges off of one of my tables. Here's the other 2 that I had left over. So you can see these are perfect ramps once you get them lined up just right. And then what I did was trimmed off the bottom here, and then trimmed off the tops, making sure that I was keeping these planes in parallel. I think that's the right word, yeah. Anyway, so these are perfect matches. And when I put them on here, I made sure that they were square and even with each other so that they stayed in plane. So what I'm going to do then is take my board. It's now at 3 degrees, or I'm saying it's 3 degrees, but I don't care anymore. I know it's the angle I want because it matches my cutoffs. I'm going to clamp this. Oh, here, I just ran a 1/4 inch bolt through here, and you got to make sure that that bolt is below the ramps. That's another reason I dropped them down a little bit lower, cut them off so that I had clearance here for the bolt. So that holds it to this piece of extrusion, which is held to my linear guide rail. Then bring in my clamp. I'm going to clamp it. I'm going to register it to the router table surface there. Clamp it. I know that edge is good and square. So as long as I'm flush and square right there, I'll be fine. And that's not moving. That's not going anywhere. So the next thing I need to do is just locate where that tenon is going to be, and I want to get it as centered as I can. I know that my tenons are about 300 thousandths wide, so I'm gonna use one of these I've got here for a test piece. I'll just keep cutting it down. It's got a, there it is here, this one. It's got a split in it, so I'll just use this end and dial in my location, and once I have that, I can just repeat. So let me get it set up and I'll show you how it works. Okay, here's my first test cut. Nice and clean. What I've got to figure out is I'm pretty well centered here, I think. No, I'm not. I've got to come a little bit the other way, this way, but I'll figure that out. Anyway, I'm going to check my fit to see where that is. And I also need to make my shoulder stops, and I'll show you that when I get done checking out the fit here. So give me a second. Okay, I'm a little tight, so I want to take a few thousandths off of this, but here's a problem that I hadn't thought of. When I register this to the table, I'm registering it to this corner. I've now removed that corner, and when I go to put it back in, I'm effectively lowering my piece. Maybe it's not such a bad thing, I suppose. Take it out, put it back in, because now this will always, yeah, that's going to be a problem, I think. The thinner I make it, the lower it's going to go. So what I need to do is put that angle on here before I put it in there. So I'm not going to be removing that much wood. I'm not that concerned about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these at about 3 degrees so that they sit relatively flush to the table. I suppose I could do that with these other two. I could run them on my table saw that way, and so I have that angle. So put these underneath my piece, my work piece. Cut it, flip it, and cut it again. So let me do that. Let me get the angle on the end here so that it sits flat on the router table. Alright, I got my pieces cut here, but they want to slide on me, and that's no good. So I'm going to put a little piece of double stick tape between the two of them, keep them together as one piece, and then put them behind my miter gauge here. Put my piece on here. I got my stop set so that I get the same length, and then I don't have to take that much off. I'll make the cut on the same ends, flip it, and just repeat the process. So let me get my scissors here. Okay. All right, this should hold them. Make sure they're flush here. Alright, so now I got my ramp. That's not going to move. Now I can make my cut. There it is. Nice and tight along all edges. It's a little loose. I cut it a little too thin, but I was worried more about the shoulders. But you can see I got a nice fit all the way around now. And that's going to be really, really perfectamundo. Show you this. So I'm nice and tight. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I took an extra 20 thousandths off. I probably should only taken off about 10. It's just a hair loose. So I'll get that dialed in. And I'll show you how I'm going to cut these. On the next one I cut, actually I'm going to cut this off and run one with the flat shoulder or the angled shoulder before I make my cuts. So I'll show you that whole process here. So hang on, let me get this cut off, this tenon cut off, and we'll start over. So hang on. Okay, after a little fooling around and tweaking here and there, I got what I wanted. I got a perfect tenon, 3 degrees I'm calling it, perfect fit, perfect shoulders. This is just my sample piece, but you can see I've got perfect fit all the way around on that baby. And that's what I'm looking for, a nice tight shoulder. All 4 spots. So now I'm going to cut them all. And it's a nice slip fit. I can fine tune them to each mortise. The mortises may vary just a little bit, but I can fit each one as I go, and then mark them and match them up. But that's what I'm looking for right there. That is a nice fit. You see I got it haunched there, and I just free-handed this, but I'll show you the whole procedure as I cut one now for real here. That's got to come up a little bit. Anyway, I like it. So I'll run one now, and you'll be able to see how this works. That is a beautiful fit, both ends. Can't really see that end, but now you can. There we go. That is nice and tight. So it took me a little while to figure this thing out, but I got it dialed in now. And the problem I was having, and hopefully this will save you some time if you ever set this up, is that I was working from this side in, and I should have been working from the inside out. Once I made that adjustment, everything is going terrific. So what I did was I came in here and routed a groove on my jig that holds the workpiece. So then I could butt the bit up here and then catch the back corner. See if I can see this here. So now the bit starts on this back corner, makes this cut, and then I move in, allow for my bit, move it over 300 thousandths, and then make another cut. So here's my setup. I've moved instead of moving my whole fence, I moved my dial indicator up here, and I register off of this, and now I just slide my jig back and forth. And then I make my cuts. So I'll show you on the next one here. I'll just have the camera running the whole time, and I'll show you how it works out here. Beautiful. Nice fit. And this is not a mistake. I want this little bit of a reveal here, about 1/4 of an inch. So that's it. I'll mark this one as this is number 4. Mark a 4 on here. I gotta do this one. And I'll just keep continuing on. And it works out. This method here is